Hello and welcome to the FUBU Films podcast, hosted by OMG Studios Philly. This podcast is in promotion for the Fade to Black Film Fest, also hosted by OMG Studios Philly. More information about this festival can be found on the website omgstudiosphilly.com. Today I'm your host, David Dunnington, and I'm going to be joined by Suni B. Rose, Imani Johnson, and Dominique Barlow to discuss the 1973 film Ganja Hess.
Blood of our Lord Jesus Christ, which was shed for thee, preserve thy body and soul for everlasting life. Drink this in remembrance that Christ's blood was shed for thee. And be thankful.
Hello, what's up? Hi. Welcome to the FUBU Films podcast, hosted by OMG Studios, in promotion for Fade to Black Film Fest 2022. I am, of course, David Dunnington, filmmaker, Philadelphian. With me is Imani, Suni, and Dominique of OMG Studios. Today we watched Ganja Hess, a 1973 film by Bill Gunn. It stars Duane Jones, who's known for Night of the Living Dead. It is a artsy blaxploitation film about vampires. So we're just gonna say our thoughts as quick as we can and talk about it because it's interesting. So first question for y'all: why did I bring this? Why was this selected for this episode to talk about with you? Black individuals with knowledge of dramaturg and all that shit.
Dramaturgically speaking, I think you asked us to watch this black vampire film because it looks at vampirism in a weird and different way, and also just like casual blackness. So yeah, it's just like really cool and experimental and something for us to like really bite out, chow. Yeah.
It was very specifically Black American as well. Like it was a Black American vampire movie. In the 70s. I really love the fits.
Yeah.
Very black, very vampire-y. The fits were great. I love the slim black Negro lead vampire, and I also loved Duane. No, not Duane. That's him. Marlene Clark. Yeah, Marlene Clark is the name of Ganja, and loved her as well.
Yeah.
This is a very good pick. Thank you.
Yeah, so let's just kind of talk about like general, like with why, just kind of going after that. Can you guys kind of just give a little review / kind of like what your take was in less than a minute, starting with Suni?
Yeah, I don't know. I thought it was like really, really cool. I thought it was beautiful to watch. I kept talking about like all of these shots that I thought were like just like taking my breath away. So I thought it was really visually capturing. I will say the story kept losing me. And even in that visual storytelling, like some of these quick flashes, like if I looked away for a hot second to Kiki, that's it. So I'm missing vital story bits and like just this like jarring retelling. But like I think the music also just like played really well into this. It's like super tense, but also like in a funky way. And so I don't think I've heard like haunted vampire funk before. And so I'm just like terrified, but also ecstatic because it was blackity black. So I don't know. It feels like black horror is drawing me into the horror genre. And this feels like something that's piqued my interest.
Yeah, again, like I said before, I love that it was very specific to like the Black American experience. Like these were some really funky, groovy, cool cat 70s like black people. Everyone. I was like, wow, y'all look so cool. That wedding scene, I was like, look what everyone's wearing. Like, this is funky. And even like, again, like with the music too, it's like that bloodlust music was very like, I was like, oh, is he like slave-o? Like, are these like his ancestral cries? I don't know. I feel like vampire movies are usually placed like in Europe, you know? And I liked that this was very specific to America and Black people.
All right. As for me, I did really enjoy it. I thought it was an interesting take. Just with it being Black people and not like so comedy driven or anything like that. It was just like a real deal vampire story. Homie got turned into a vampire unexpectedly and had to deal with it, and got to find somebody that he was like, yeah, we can do this. I don't know if the ending kind of was weird to me, because I'm still kind of like, was it the cross or was he going insane? Because I felt like the dude in the beginning of the movie also went insane. But to close it out, the shots were beautiful. The story, as much as I did follow, was good. And I would definitely recommend this to somebody for a nice little watch.
I guess just to summarize for the people out there, there is a man named Dr. Hess Green. He's a anthropologist who's rich, studies dead nations. He gets a new assistant named, I forget, it's George Maida. George is a crazy man, is involved in weird voodoo stuff, is suicidal, stabs Dr. Hess with this voodoo blood thing, kills himself. Dr. Hess wakes up and desires blood. I don't even think they even mention the word vampire at all.
Nah.
No.
Yeah, it's definitely like, it's more of like a voodoo black magic sort of thing, or like a black voodoo sort of thing, ritualistic stuff. And I liked that.
I missed out on that like small little detail, and so that just opened up a lot more for me in that story.
I'm like, the knife makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm like, they did say it was like a cultural disease thing that was on this knife.
Yeah.
There is like a lot of stuff, like, I think with a lot of, and I think we're going to have this conversation too with the watermelon woman, with certain, but I mean, it might have been the link we saw it on, because we did see it legally, but what we saw it legally on, yeah, sure. Yeah. It's on YouTube. Fuck it. We saw it on YouTube, and it was like a little low res, because it's hard to find, a low res video. And I think even with whatever high quality like version of it there is, like the audio is probably a little scratchy and stuff. And that is just all to say that, like, you know, I understand that like he's working with like a probably shoestring budget, you know, but he still made something really, Bill Gunn still made something really artsy, and like, that he clearly put a lot of thought into, like the sound design and all like the weird imagery. Yeah. I looked into like the history of it. He died at 54, and to his mind, this movie is just long and forgotten, was just kind of like, yeah, I made it and it's whatever, like it's done. But like as of recent, it's become more of a like a film called classic, like we said this for the PJs, but this is definitely like a hidden gem, because most people don't know about this.
It's definitely like a tragic love story is what it feels like. I just thought it was vampirism, and so like now it feels even more just like tragic love story, but like cursed.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Or like fighting off like the temptation of like there's a couple things. There's like his assimilation. There's the whole thing with him being like the only black person in that neighborhood that he's in. Mm-hmm. And like he has that like, I'm assuming, mixed kid that speaks French, but he's like mostly alone, and he's like battling like these like different urges, Any other sort of like analysis you guys get from like the themes of lust and blood and sex or anything in regards to this? Loneliness.
I would only be like, how would y'all feel if you were turned into a vampire by somebody, by your lover or whatever, by your partner?
I mean, I guess she kind of like wanted somebody to worship her. It's like she's looking for somebody to do anything and everything for her. So if he's like committing to taking care of her forever and like spending eternity with her forever, then like that is like an ultimate sign of worship. You're like, wow, let us both be immortal together. So that way, like, you're like guaranteeing that I'll be taken care of. So I'm like, for her, that sounds like a good deal. For myself, I don't know. I think I'd be one of these folks who also like would be driven crazy. Because it's just like life sucks some days. And especially to just like be a Black person in America, like, for eternity, and to know like that's just it. I don't know, dog.
Every day is the best it's gonna get. Every day
I understand.
You wake up, the racism that you experience is like, oh well, I guess this is better today. I don't know. I'm not here for teen eternity either. I'm too
Would you call this film like absurdist? Because there's things like, so I guess to explain to the audience more about the plot. So Ganja and Hess is George's estranged wife, the guy that killed himself and made Hess a vampire. She comes back, finds out dude's dead. She don't give a fuck.
Does not.
And
she does not.
She's literally like, yeah, everybody's a little freaky. She's like, what? And they're just like this weird way of like them being like super sexually explorative, like to the point where they're doing like, you know, eating blood and shit. Just blood, not shit.
Yes.
So you have eternity.
Got eternity.
Oh no! Eat the poo poo. How we feel about Ganja? She was an interesting ass character.
She was
like
a bad bitch. Ganja,
she was.
She was a bad bitch.
That Ganja, look out for Ganja first.
Yeah, for real. Ganja first.
Ganja come first.
Always.
That's what she learned.
Don't forget.
She said, I am
Hot
the
girl-
cheese.
hot girl
I'm in
Ganja.
control.
She was a hot girl.
So yeah, Ganja had like a rough childhood, and she's like she's very mean to everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, did she plan on Hess dying? Because she kind of planted that seed on Homeboy that came out of the water at the end. So I'm like, what was up with that? Was that like already planned? Yeah. Did she see him
I
going
feel like
mad at that time?
Yeah, I feel like this movie kind of needs like a couple of viewings, because like there's just so much weird imagery, and like so many stuff happens so fast, unexplained, and I'm sure some of it has like very specific meaning, and some of it he was just like, let's just throw some shit in there. I mean, it is like capital A artsy down to like the little dream sequences with the people with the masks, and you're just like, But I'm just glad that like, you know, this exists. And there's something like this. And as I was saying in the group chat, I was thinking like, oh, this would be cool if this was remade. It was remade by Spike Lee. It's called The Sweet Blood of Juice.
Wow.
The Sweet Blood of Jesus. The Sweet Blood of Jesus. Yes. And they're literally called Ganja and Hess in the movie.
I've heard of that movie. I've just never seen it. Wow.
Never seen it either. There might be something where we watch that and compare.
Wait a minute. Is this why they were pushing those like biblical like Jesus scriptures at the top? Because they were talking about like, you know, trying to get us to believe that Jesus was a vampire, essentially, just like drink the blood. Like drink the blood. It's all in the blood. The blood will cleanse you. The blood will make you whole. And so is that why a dude is out here drinking blood? Like, is this?
I think it was like kind of like ways of validating his addiction.
Word.
Yeah, and it's just like that's what he was struggling with. And like Dominique, I think to answer your question, like he stands in the shadow of the cross, like the shadow of the cross covering your heart, and that will like that's like a general thing that like kills vampires, I think. so he like accepted the Lord or whatever.
Okay, because it did seem like acceptance whenever he was in the church, because he was like looking up at the ceiling, like just smiling. And even when he was in the shadow of the cross in the chair, he was still looking up, smiling and everything. And he asked her, he was like, "You can come with me." And then he like stood up, walked into it, and like that was it. So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and like about that church scene, like that felt very like you guys are saying like documentary-esque, because it's like I imagine a lot of that wasn't scripted. I imagine it just felt very free flowing and like felt like a real service.
We walked in on church service, yeah.
Yeah, you can't script that.
No, in the way he was moving and
like,
it's the right thing,
right?
Yeah, because originally I did think the movie was a weed movie. I thought, all right, we're about to run out of time. But I thought, yeah, ganja. I forgot what I was saying. Oh, I thought ganja was weed in the movie title before we started watching it.
You are trying to get this submitted to Film Hall of Fame because for some reason you believe that it belongs there.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me why.
Black people should be able to see themselves frolic through fields in acceptance and joyfully, and to see themselves like in love for eternity. So yeah, for the culture, visually pleasing and aspiring.
Yeah, we don't have enough black vampire movies, so it's like name 5 on one hand, you can't, so it's going in.
Yeah. Go ahead, Dominique.
Okay. I'm like, this movie was 1978, I think.
73.
70. Oh, even better. 1973, and it had some wild shots. Like people talk about Kubrick a lot, and like all these other people, but like the shots in this movie were wild, ahead of its time, and like this is like just a super deep hidden gem. Stories be having plot holes, whatever. They're vampires. We're here just to see some niggas like slurp up some tomato soup off the bathroom floor like a nasty motherfucker. But like
some killer nails.
This was a great movie, and telling me that's from 1973 still blows my mind. I'm like, it's great.
Yeah, it is ahead of its time. It even feels like there's parts that feel like an old French movie called Possession, and like I think, yeah, that's a good point. Like, there are plot holes, but the point isn't really the plot. The point is more so, like, just scene for scene what, like, the elements of these scenes mean for, like, the whole theme. So, like, what, and I think also it's cool that in 1973 there's, like, this film about this complicated rich black man who's suffering with his, like, the racial stuff is there, but it's kind of subtle. It's a lot more subtle, and there's no, like, the white people barely say shit in it. And it's like, I don't know, I just like when black people have very complicated stories that aren't the hood, and this wasn't that. It was just like you could have made this story with anyone.
He's not a criminal. He's a victim.
Thanks again for tuning in to the FUBU Films podcast hosted by OMG Studios Philly. This podcast will be weekly throughout the month of February in promotion for Fade to Black, a Blackity Black Film Fest 2022. See you there.